Let's call Judge Leslie Kobayashi, an Obama appointed judge who is persecuting Anthony Troy Williams in a Hawaii federal court. 808 541 1331.
Judge Kobayashi's chambers.
Hi, I would like to talk to Judge Kobayashi or possibly leave a message if I could.
Okay, may I tell her who's calling and what this is in reference to?
My name is Rudy Davis. I'm a Bible-believing follower of the Lord Jesus Christ, and I believe she's persecuting my friend, Anthony Troy Williams. And I have multiple evidence and things that she needs to consider as she railroads him into prison and not allow him to call witnesses from the mainland.
Okay. Go on. I'll take down the message.
Great, thank you. So my understanding is she has disallowed witnesses from the mainland, and I consider that an egregious miscarriage of justice in a courtroom, and I believe that that's wrong. Also, my understanding is there's no blacks allowed in the jury pool, or there was no blacks within the jury pool, whether they were allowed or not. And as a white man, if my entire jury was 12 blacks, I would be upset about it. And I think it's wrong that the jury pool, Anthony's jury, is stacked with Asians and whites, and he doesn't have any black people on the jury. I'm also aware, firsthand knowledge of flagrant witness intimidation by U.S. Marshals, and I have audio recordings that prove that. And it's been published on YouTube, where U.S. Marshals has called Anthony's friends and told them that if they continue to open petitions for Anthony or put out pictures of the people that are persecuting Anthony, that they might have people show up at their door and arrest them. And I think that U.S. Marshals in our country have no business doing that whatsoever. I also think, you still with me, ma'am?
Yes.
I think that delaying his trial 8 times over a 3-year period is an atrocious miscarriage of no speedy trial. And also, if you're familiar with the book Not Guilty, The Unlawful Prosecution of United States Senator Ted Stevens, one of the things that Rob Carey, who was Senator Ted Stevens' defense attorney, said is that one of the devilish tactics of the prosecution is to turn over an enormous amount of discovery evidence just before trial, and that U.S. Senator Ted Stevens had to hire a team of legal interns to go through that discovery evidence. And Anthony doesn't have a team of legal interns, and yet just a few weeks before trial, the prosecution turns over an enormous amount of discovery evidence, and I think that's wrong. They had 3 years. What are they doing turning over all this discovery evidence just a few weeks before trial? And I'm aware of motion in limines where Anthony is not allowed to bring up jury nullification, and I think that's wrong. I'm also aware of him being thrown in the hole and mistreated and abused physically, where I have lost communications with him, and a guard within the prison pushed his head up against the wall and tried to provoke a response from him. That's a normal tactic, is when you want somebody to claim that they're a violent man, you continually push them to the edge over and over again in hopes of provoking an attack. And I think that's what's been done to Anthony. And I think it's wrong with how they've treated him and thrown him in the hole. And I think how the FBI agents called 500 of his clients in order to fish for anybody who would testify against them and then coach them. I think all of that is wrong. And I think it's a ploy by the bankers and the prosecution and the FBI to silence Anthony, who was standing up against the banks. In the 2008 mortgage crisis, nobody went to jail when the banks got tons of money from the American taxpayer, and Anthony's trying to help average people, black and white, protect their homes. And I think these banks they took subprime mortgages and they turned them into securities and they sold them internationally, and that the financial chaos that would have came about had the banks been allowed to be responsible for their bad decisions would have not only took down American financial system, it would have taken down the international financial system. And yet none of those people are ever held accountable. They all get their big bonuses. They get their mortgages paid off. But Anthony, who's trying to help the little guy, he gets saddled with all these charges from the Department of Justice. And I'm very concerned that he's not getting a fair trial. And I believe that Anthony is a good guy. He's a spiritual man. And I think that he should be allowed witnesses from the mainland. And the fact that he's not allowed witnesses and he doesn't have a black person on the jury and he's being provoked over and over again, I'm very concerned that he's not getting a fair trial. And that's the message that I would like delivered to Judge Leslie Kobayashi.
Okay, I will let her know.
Thank you very much. You mind if I get your name?
Star.
Sar. Thank you, Miss Sar.
Yeah, welcome.
All right. Well, I did my best. That phone number, if you want to call as well, is 808-541-1331. It's an Obama-appointed judge, Leslie Kobayashi.